Morning, very good morning. In the study of motion in plane, last few classes we did with the projectile motion, the specific one which is oblique projectile from ground, because the entire title is important. Oblique projectile from ground, the trajectory of the projectile and the expressions for the instantaneous velocities, instantaneous directions, the maximum heights, the range, time of flight, all these expressions discussed with help of few examples as well. And now we'll continue further under the title of horizontal projectile. What is meant by horizontal projectile at the moment? In fact, friends, let me tell you, all the examples that we are discussing now are especially motion under gravity. Even in the case of oblique projectile, if you remember, what is that we have taken? A is equal to G and Konnur. We have our discussion, and there itself I have told you that the same examples can be done in our next topics, which people call it as CET, NEET or anything else. Second year topics also will come across with the same kind of concepts of oblique projectile. But there, the force is not gravitational force, and hence acceleration is not acceleration due to gravity. But same is the procedure. Now here comes what is meant by horizontal projectile. Supposing if I take the example, a gun, it's a gun and it fires a bullet horizontally. A bullet is fired horizontally from a gun. Now what happens? What do you expect? Do you expect that it will continue the same straight line path for any length of time? Definitely no. What happens? Yes, it is not a straight line path. Rather, this is the path that it takes. Similarly, suppose this is some height, a tower. From the top of the tower, from the edge of the top of the tower, we have thrown a ball horizontally. A ball thrown horizontally from certain height. Again, now you tell me what is the path that you have already observed. Many times, this is what is a common observation. Here as well, it travels in this path and reaches the ground. Not simply keep on moving Allah. Similarly, any other example, supposing if I now say, because this is one such important thing which we are mentioning as an example, later we apply all these principles of horizontal motion for this particular example as well. Supposing I said an aeroplane, a fighter plane. This is some fighter plane moving horizontally above the ground, and a bomb is dropped from it. A bomb dropped from it. What will be the case? Here you underline this point. A shell, a bomb dropped from a fighter plane. Generally dropped means most of the times, generally students do mistake it with free fall. Supposing if it is dropped freely from the moving plane, remember, underline this point, it does not fall in straight line to the ground. Rather, it will take this path and reaches the ground in a curved path. This is how it takes place, is it not? All these are the examples for our horizontal projectile motion. See, when we are discussing, we'll take a particular case like this. A ball projected horizontally from certain height. This is what is our discussion. And whenever the examples are asked with a data including this gun, bullet fired horizontal, or this of a fighter plane horizontally moving, and the shell dropped away, the same results we will use. Therefore, today's topic would be horizontal projectile motion. And actually the procedure is the same. You remember when there was motion in plane, what is that we did? We have conveniently split into two perpendicular 1D motion. 2D motion split into two perpendicular 1D motion, and especially when it was oblique motion, oblique projected, we set those 1D. If you remember, horizontal motion 1D and vertical motion as second one dimension motion. Then we have combined the results. The same it will happen here as well now. The procedure is same. So for the horizontal projectile motion, just look at this beginning, because beginning and the entire journey and the final result. This is what is important. Once again I repeat, don't just look at those final results that we arrive at. Know what is the beginning and what is the entire journey of our thought process. And finally, this result is a consequence of all this discussion. This should be your way of understanding the things for long-lasting results, so that it is not a memory when you attend your exam. That day you will feel lot of ease in facing all your challenges, right? So here let us consider. This is ground. This is ground. Yes, this is the ground. Ground means reference ground. Ground is reference ground. This is what is ground. And this is certain, I say tower. Mean to say it is some certain height, and this height I have taken it as a capital H. Right. So here comes. The symbols should never give you any confusion. Here I am using capital H. Yadike anta nodkodi. Small h baldre yadik baribodu. What is small y, small h, capital H? So whatever symbols you are using, make sure that you know the complete meaning and details of that particular symbol that you are using. According to me, H is the height of the tower. I call this ground point as O. I call this ground point O, and this is top of the tower. This edge point I will consider it as A. A is the top of the tower, and yes, a ball projected horizontally with velocity u. Again, now here use the velocity of projection. Use the velocity of projection initially from this point A. So now again, what do you observe and what we did earlier in the case of oblique projection? Let us duplicate that. And here once again, horizontal I will take it as x direction, vertical I will take it as y direction. So horizontal vectors when I have to write, I will use either plus I, minus I. Vertical minus j, plus j. Plus j means upward, minus j means downwards. All such a discussion I don't think, even for JEE advanced examples, maybe for such JEE advanced examples or some examples to be done easily, then I will make use of the vectors as well. Minus j, minus I, plus I, living then pagbeku. Now according to me, anything from your left to right, I will take it as plus I. Right to left, I will take it as minus I. Upward, I will take it as plus j. Downward, I will take it as minus j. When it is required. All that discussion we don't make it right now, but after some time also you remember this. Now, as earlier I have told you, what do you expect a body projected horizontally? Here, ux is equal to u, is it not? See, now here earlier you have said ux is equal to u cos theta, because u was at an angle theta with horizontal, and hence horizontal component was u cos theta. But here what is that? It is what is u completely horizontal. Therefore ux is equal to u, and hence uy is equal to 0. Initially there is no velocity in the vertical direction under this point, because everything is visible here. Whatever is seen as a physical event, for that I am writing few important data. Ux is equal to u. Uy is 0. Initially there is no velocity in the vertical direction. Once again, horizontal direction, no effect of gravity. Therefore I will write ax is equal to 0. No acceleration in the horizontal direction. And what is the AY? Vertical direction. There is gravity, because we are now understanding, or our discussion is completely with respect to motion under gravity. This is what? This should not give a limitation. In this particular case, we are talking about one and only force experienced by this object, which is gravitational force, and hence one and only acceleration that we are writing is g. Now once again, whether it is plus g or minus g, and there will be confusion. Bandre, I will tell you only one thing, that now whenever it is thrown horizontally, initially vertical velocity is 0, gradually vertical velocity increases. Underline this point. Why? Because gravity pull is there, therefore initial vertical velocity is 0, but vertical velocity gradually increases due to gravity. But gravity has no effect on the horizontal velocities and the horizontal displacements, therefore it remains the same throughout the flight. So the horizontal velocities and displacements are independent of gravity. Because 90 degrees 90 degrees component also becomes 0, right? Therefore, AY is equal to G. I will take it as plus G because velocity is gradually increasing, and no reason. But when we do some specific examples, there actually what happens, downward direction I will use minus J, upward direction I will use plus J. That and this should not be confused. Here I am taking as plus G, not with respect to direction, that is with respect to the increasing velocity at the marker. Therefore, here the path comes, and this is the path in which it strikes the ground, reaches the ground. I call this point as B point, where it is striking the ground. This is the details. Mattu matagi ux is equal to u ide, uy is equal to 0 ide, ax is equal to 0 ide, ay is equal to g plus ide. Okay. Now, let us come to our discussion. Last time, whatever we did, the same we will now follow. Now, here I take some instantaneous position. Instantaneous position. Now, P is an instantaneous position. To cross the point P, to cross the point P, it has to, yes, displacement small y in the vertically downward direction, and the horizontal direction it should have a displacement of x. Therefore, I am now calling this again px comma y. Now here x refers to horizontal displacement in t seconds, and y is the vertical displacement, vertically downward direction, right? Displacement in t seconds. So both, so p, to cross the point P, it is taking t seconds after the projection. So A to P barbeku andre horizontal displacement is x, vertical displacement is y. Time interval is small t and the right? Therefore, now again I am writing using s is equal to ut plus half a t square, because this was our starting point. Remember, the same is the case here also. S is equal to ut plus half a t square. If I do it separately for horizontal and vertical, x is equal to x and u. Horizontal direction velocity ux is equal to u. Therefore, u t plus a is term 0 half it square, but meaning t is equal to x by u. Next time equation y is equal to, I call this equation 1. Y is equal to equation by because in the vertical direction initial velocity is 0, therefore this is 0 plus half a means we have said t, gt square, and I call this equation 2. Now again eliminate t from equation 1 and 2. T eliminate model, that means that substitute equation 1 in 2, so you get this expression y is equal to g, t is equal to x by just to gx square by 2u square. This is what I will write it as g by 2u square. G by 2u square into x square, right? Such that this term in the brackets I will take it as a constant, because for a given place, for given velocity, underline this part, for a given place, for given velocity, y, these are two constant things. Therefore I am now writing as y is equal to ax square brackets ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. A is equal to G by 2U square is a constant. Y is equal to AX square is also a parabola. Last time we have taken y is equal to ax minus bx square or ax plus bx square. It's a parabola. Now y is equal to ax square is also a parabola. This is also a parabola. What is the difference between the two equations and all those details? Second PU in the mathematics, in the topic of geometry, you will understand the difference, physical difference, what is that between ax minus bx square and ax square, that what we will find. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ you can observe one thing, because it was parabola. Now here what you observe is the second half. If you divide this into two halves, these are again two parabola that you get. No, that's what is. So it's a part and parcel of parabola only, right? So that all those things your math teachers will discuss with you. Y is equal to x square. Now you have to remember, as I have told you, the journey. When you are writing this y is equal to ax square, this g by 2u square is the constant term. This constant term depends upon velocity, how inversely proportional ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನೋಡಿ. ಈ inverse and square ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. This a proportional to 1 by x square, 1 by u square ಅಂತ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. a proportional to g ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. All these things become so important for the toughest examples, NEET, JEE, mains, advanced tapundaga. We can create or will come across very tough examples where this idea is important. So when you are writing the constant, you have to remember what is the constant here. The same we did even in the case of oblique projectile, ax minus bx square. Afterwards we have deduced the expressions for range, maximum height, time of flight in terms of a and b. In NP r equal to some a by b ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದೆ, because a equal to tan theta, b equal to g by 2u square cos square theta ಬಂದಿದೆ. We have to remember those constants for next level of examples. Next level of examples are ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. So this is one thing. Y is equal to ax square is the equation, and trajectory is projectile. ಮುಗೀತು ಹೌದಾ? Trajectory is projectile for horizontal projectile. ಮುಗೀತು. ಆಮೇಲೆ you have to remember this expression. Now when it comes to the other questions, what is time of flight? ಇವಾಗ ಏನೇನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. So in vertical motion we will calculate two things. One is time of flight. It is time of flight. Next one is velocity with which it strikes the ground. Important thing. The angle at which it strikes the ground. These three things ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವೇನು. Right? Again the same set of equations, vertical motion separate, horizontal motion separate, data is given. Again we will be making use of v equal to u plus ad, s equal to ud plus r square. The same discussion goes. Remember, okay? So in time of flight ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ, if I say s is equal to ut plus half ad square ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Before that, just simple reminder one more time that see when a it is reaching b, what is the vertical displacement it has to do? Y, and what is the horizontal displacement? OB. So AO is the vertical displacement and OB is the horizontal displacement. But time taken is same. Whatever time is taken for O to A, the same is time taken for O to B. Because simultaneous horizontal and vertical displacement. T substitute ಮಾಡುವಾಗ you should not have any doubt whatsoever. Therefore here capital H is equal to time of flight, the time spent by the body in A, right? The time taken to reach ground from that point of projection. ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಬೇಕು. Don't simply say the time of ascent plus time of descent. ಇಲ್ಲಿ time of ascent to descent to ಇಲ್ಲ. There is only time of flight ಅಂದರೆ the time spent by the body in A. Time of ascent to time of descent ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. Right, H is equal to this value is 0 plus half a t square ಅಲ್ಲಿ g t squared by 2 O2 A to B ಬರಕ್ಕೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ T. Time of flight I am using symbol capital T. Therefore T is equal to under root 2h by g. Interesting expression, but a common sense explanation also. What is the T is equal to? This is nothing but time taken by free fall. Because from a height h, you drop ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. What is the time taken to reach ground? Root of 2h by c. Now what is the expression that you are getting? Even for horizontal projectile, this is equal to free fall. ಅಂದರೆ t proportional to u power 0. ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಲೈಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಥ್ರೋ. ಅದು ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟು ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ಥ್ರೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ? ಇಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಕೇಸ್, ಎ ಬಾಡಿ ಪ್ರೊಜೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ 20 meters per second from the same position, another is projected with velocity 30 meters per second. First object A, second object B, third object C, dropped from the same position. This is dropped from the same position, not thrown, dropped from the same position. What happens? Andre, all of them reaches ground at same time. Time taken to reach ground ಒಂದೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. Independent of velocity of throw ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Now when we have given this statement, it is only with respect to time to reach ground. Whether they reach ground with same velocity or not, we'll see that in the latter part. So as far as the time of flight is concerned, time of flight is independent of velocity of throw ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. This is nothing but time of free fall ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದೆ. So this is one important message. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಇದು ನೋಡಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ಲೈಟ್ ನಾವು ತೆಗೆದುಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಗೇನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ವರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಮೋಷನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ವಿತ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಕ್ಸ್ ದ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಆರ್ ಆಂಗಲ್ ವಿತ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಕ್ಸ್ ದ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ. ಒನ್ ಮೋರ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಟೇನಿಯಸ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೀವೋ ಸೇಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಅಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಟೇನಿಯಸ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ P ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, which is given as x, y, x for horizontal, vertical, y ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ at instantaneous position ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ instantaneous velocity I will write it as v, which is given by drawing a tangent. Direction ಹೇಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು tangent ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. So this is what is the tangent that is drawn at this point. This is what is v bar anta barita iddivi. Instantaneous velocity v bar tagondre again it will components now barita iddivi vx bar, and this is what is vy bar. Got it? Now vx bar is equal to enante simply u bar irutte, because initially all the velocity is in the horizontal direction and it is unaffected by gravity. Vertical velocity ಮಾತ್ರ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಹಾರಿಜಾಂಟಲ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. vx bar is equal to u bar ಇರುತ್ತೆ. What is vy bar? Initially vertical components ಇತ್ತು 0 ಇತ್ತು. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ t seconds ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, v equal to u plus at ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ gt ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ? I will now write it as gt ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ಸ್ ಬರೀತೇವೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು u bar and this is equal to u ಇರುತ್ತೆ, this is equal to gt ಇರುತ್ತೆ, and they are perpendicular ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Therefore magnitude of v bar is equal to root of vx square plus vy square ಬಂದ್ರೆ it is root of u square plus g square d square ಬರೀತು. ಅದರ y ಕೆಳಗೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ gt ನೇಮ್ ಬರೀಬಹುದು, root of 2gy ಬರೀಬಹುದು. Therefore the same I can write it as u square plus 2gy ಅಂತ ಬರೀಬಹುದು. y is the vertical displacement across the point P ಅಂತ. Similarly, if alpha is instantaneous direction alpha ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅವಾಗ ಏನು ಬರೀಬೋದಪ್ಪ, tan alpha is equal to vy by vx alpha taken with respect to horizontal, because ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಆ್ಯಂಗಲ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾರಿಜಾಂಟಲ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆಲ್ಫಾ ಆ್ಯಂಗಲ್ ಮೇಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಹಾರಿಜಾಂಟಲ್ vy by vx that is equal to gt by u ಅಂತ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನಾವು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಆನ್ ರೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಆನ್ ರೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, y is equal to capital H ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ t is equal to capital D ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಇವಾಗ ಈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, tan alpha what is the angle ಅಂತ ಏನು ಬರ್ತದೆ, what is the velocity ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತು. ಆನ್ ರೀಚಿಂಗ್ ದ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ v is equal to root of u square plus 2gh. ಇಷ್ಟು ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾಲ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಆಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಫಾಲ್, ಬಟ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಆನ್ ರೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್. Velocity attained by free fall is only under root of 2gh. Whereas for horizontal projectile, what is the velocity with which it is striking the ground? Under root of u square plus 2gh. Therefore, the velocity with which it reaches the ground or strikes the ground depends on the initial velocity and yes, the height at which from which it is projected. It depends both on initial velocity and height. Whereas time of fall depends only on h but not on u ಅಂತ ನೀವು ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡರ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಈ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಡೂ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ once the teacher finishes the class, after that you need to work on it using your brain, because it is not simply listening to someone or looking to somebody who has and copying that onto the notes. See, this is not just sufficient. Maybe in the present world this is a very big thing. At least listening to someone copy ಮಾಡೋದು ತುಂಬಾ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. But actually, if you are aspirant of something else and you feel a belong more, then definitely in each and every aspect, not just physics, chemistry or need CT, I'm telling you, in any aspect of the life, you need to use your brain. Work ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. So velocity ಯಾರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಟೈಮ್ ಯಾರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯಿತು. Whereas the same, the angle with which it strikes the ground ಅಂತ ನಾನಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Angle with which it strikes the ground ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದ theta ಅಂತ ಬರೀತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Suppose here we strike the ground and this angle I will take it as some theta because instantaneous angle I have taken it as alpha, right? Theta is equal to with a p tan inverse g capital T by u ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. G capital T by u ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. T of course already ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. What is that? Under root 2h by c ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀವಲ್ಲ ಆ ಥರ. Therefore, so this is theta is equal to tan inverse G capital T by U. ಇದನ್ನು ಏನು ಬರ್ತದೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡಿ. ಟಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಬರೀಬಾರ್ದು. ಆರ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರೈಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ tan inverse root of 2g capital H by U ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಬರೀಬೋದು. If it is given in terms of height, tan inverse root of gt by U. If you know the time directive bರ್ತದೆ. So this is how you have calculated. And now let us come to the other aspect, which is the maximum horizontal displacement. In the language of projectiles, we call it as range and right? So now let us calculate an expression for range of the horizontal projectile. Already we have told that what is meant by range. Range ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಂತ ಅರ್ಥ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ನೆನಪಿದೆಯಾ? ಇನ್ನು ಯಾವ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ? ರೇಂಜ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಹಾರಿಜಾಂಟಲ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ರೈಟ್? ಇನ್ ದ ಹಾರಿಜಾಂಟಲ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್, ರೈಟ್? ರೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಗಿವನ್ ಫಿಗರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ OB ಅಂತ ಬರೀತಾರೆ. When you are taking OB, it is nothing but horizontal displacement. Therefore, once again, we are using S is equal to ut plus half at square, and therefore here I am writing as u. This is ux, therefore which is nothing but u. T and the capital T, idella kuda acceleration term 0. Already T gottalla, adike R is equal to u root of 2h by g. Chandagi nodi, range ಯಾರ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ chandagi nodi. It depends upon u, the velocity, horizontal velocity with which it is projected, right? So it depends upon the velocity of projection, depends upon the height from which it is projected. ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೋಡಬೇಕು. R proportional to u ಇದೆ, R proportional to h ಇಲ್ಲ, R proportional to root h ಇದೆ. These are the examples. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇವಾಗ velocity of horizontally thrown body, velocity doubled, what happens to the range? Since it is all proportional to u, first degree, u doubled, r doubled, u decreased by 50%, r decreased by 50%, u increased by 200%, r increased by 200%. Answer. Whereas r and h relation only. Suppose if somebody is throwing a ball from 50 meters height, then range is equal to some 100 meter if it is projected from 100 meters of height with same velocity. What is the range? Range double ಆಗ್ತಲ್ಲ because r proportion to root ಇದೆ. Therefore, if you double the height of the tower from where you are projecting, then the range becomes root 2 times. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೋ ಅಂದರೆ ಲುಕಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ನೋಡೋಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಅಂದರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ LHS, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ RHS, how the different parameters are related, and what are the constant terms and what are the variable terms. ಇವಾಗ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮಗೆ we should have an idea. That is what is preparation. I'm not just telling you for CET, NEET, main, you do this. No, I'm not telling you. If you habituate this kind, because I know a given situation and what are the different possible changes in the situation. ಅದು ಏನೇನು ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ and our difference, our change ಬಂದಾಗ how do we understand the results. This is a very, very important thing. Even if you become a doctor afterwards, after you becoming a doctor, this is a very important thing. See, now a new disease like a new pandemic is there in the name of corona. There is no protocol because it is a new thing. Now understanding that, and if these are the consequences and this is how it should be treated, now doctors have to approach. The same is the case. So in a given situation, what are the possible changes and what are the possibilities? Exploring those possibilities is your individual asset. Dodda Astiyar. Whoever has this, after 10 years, definitely we will see them in a very different level, in a different dimension of life. So here range depending upon velocity, range depending upon h, of course. Supposing if there are some changes in gravity, then also range changes. ಯಾವ ಥರ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ? inversely proportional. Gravity decreasing, range increasing. A question is asked, supposing a 50-meter height building on the surface of the earth, a ball projected with a velocity 20 meters per second reaches ground from a distance of, suppose he says 50 meters from the foot of the tower. This is foot of the tower in the 50 meters. Supposing the same is done but on the surface of the moon, same height of the building, where the gravity is 1/6, then what will be the distance that it reaches? ಕಡಿಮೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾ, ಸೇಮ್ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಾ? With numericals later, questions can be asked. Therefore, range depends on velocity, range depends on the height from which it is thrown, and also inversely proportional to gravity. ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗಾದರೆ ಏನಿದೆ? ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ರೂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನಲ್ ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ರೂಟ್, and gravity ಮಾತ್ರ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ r proportional to 1/√g ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. Next thing, when we do some other examples in second PU in the name of not gravitational field and gravitational force, there we come across electric field and a coulombic force ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದೇ ಥರ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಲ್ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. he says electron, proton, alpha particle. he says instead of gravitational field, he says electric field. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ what is the path, what is the velocity, what is the timing, all these things ಮತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 99.999% ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ನ್ಯೂ ಸೈನ್ಸ್, ನ್ಯೂ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗು, ಮತ್ತು ಏನು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡೋದಿದೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಹೇಳೋ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗನ್ನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲರ್ನ್ ಇನ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ PU, ಈ ಮಾತನ್ನು 10 ಸರಿ 100 ಸತಿ ಅಂಡರ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PU ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 90% we never learn new physics. Every day we have to use the same concepts that we have learned in our first PU, right? So range, time of flight, instantaneous velocities, instantaneous directions, right? So all the information regarding horizontal projectile motion we have discussed. And how to practice them, I've just given you some leads. You please follow them, and not only physics. It can be chemistry or bio or maths. Of after teacher, you watch your video and write your notes. After that, you have to use your brain at least for half an hour in understanding the things, and then you speak to your teachers. Viresh, time is
35.
35. Okay. So here we will take a break. We'll meet in our next class with few examples. Stay positive. Eat well, prepare well. Good day.